Good afternoon. Welcome to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's Mid-Atlantic Economic Empowerment webinar on Section 3 of the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968. My name is Brandon Parenchak, and I am the Section 3 project lead in HUD's Office of Field Policy and Management here in the Mid-Atlantic region. Before we begin, I have a few administrative items. An advanced copy of today's presentation was sent out to all of you. We want to make sure those of you joining via phone would be able to follow along easily. Next, we will take a few questions at the end of the presentation. Please type your questions into the chat box and we will address a few when we wrap up the presentation. If we do not get to your question today, we will send out responses via email. I'd also like to mention that this webinar is being recorded. Please, everyone, if they could mute their phones as well as turn off their cameras during the presentation, it would be greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to introduce HUD's Mid-Atlantic Deputy Regional Administrator, Jane Miller, for some opening remarks.
Thank you, Brandon. Good afternoon to everyone. On behalf of Regional Administrator Joe DeFelice, I want to welcome our partners and our staff throughout the region who are joining us today to learn more about economic empowerment and more specifically Section 3. Interestingly, in government, we often refer to our many programs by the section of the law that created them. When we speak of Section 3, we are referring to the provision included in Section 3 of the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968. But it may come as a surprise to some that Section 3 is actually not a HUD program. What the provision of Section 3 does is ensure that employment and contracting opportunities will be available for low and moderate income persons when HUD dollars or programs are utilized. Section 3 can offer those who receive housing assistance a path forward towards jobs, wealth creation, and economic improvement. This administration sees its potential as a tool in assisting folks towards self-sufficiency. Section 3 provisions apply to approximately $18 billion of HUD's current budget. In just the last year, more than $20 million in construction contracts and $1.5 million in non-construction contracts led to the creation of 825 new Section 8 jobs. That's nearly 1,000 HUD-assisted families who are currently benefiting from Section 3 businesses and federal contracts. And those statistics I mentioned from last year, that is specific to Region 3. So that is our backyard. So with that, let's get started. I thank you again for joining us this afternoon, and I'm sure we will all learn something new about Section 3. Brandon, back to you.
Thank you so much, Jane, and welcome everyone to today's presentation. Today's webinar will provide you with an overview of the Section 3 provision, the proposed rule changes, how to access the Opportunity Portal and Business Registry, and the Section 3 Performance Evaluation and Reporting System, commonly known as SPEARS. My colleague, Desta Wooden from HUD's Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity will discuss the SPEARS reporting tool. So, what is Section 3? Many may already know, but Section 3 is a provision of the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968. So this has been around for quite a while. The purpose is to ensure that preference for employment, training, and contracting opportunities generated from the expenditure of HUD funds is directed to locally based, low and very low income persons, particularly those who receive federal housing assistance, such as public housing or Housing Choice Vouchers, and businesses that are owned or substantially employ such persons. The focus of Section 3 is shifting from businesses to residents. The congressional intent is to promote self-sufficiency among low-income persons, level the playing field for Section 3 residents and businesses, and strengthen local economies. Section 3 is not about compliance. It's about investing in good partners for economic benefit and giving them the opportunity to benefit with you. Section 3 provides an opportunity for eligible businesses and residents to connect to jobs, trainings, and contracts in numerous fields, ranging from administration to construction to engineering. Section 3 requires that certain recipients of HUD financial assistance provide these opportunities to the greatest extent feasible. Applicability. The Section 3 provision applies to a wide-ranging array of HUD partners encompassing entitlement and competitive programs in areas of community development, public housing, and lead-based paint. The purpose. A Section 3 to ensure that a Section 3 resident, is defined as a public housing resident or low or very low income person residing in the metropolitan area or non-metropolitan county in which the Section 3 covered assistance is expended. HUD releases annual income limits by fiscal year. Low income is defined as 80% of area median income adjusted for family size, and very low income is 50%. A Section 3 business is 51% or more owned by Section 3 residents. 30% or more permanent full-time employees are Section 3 residents, or 25% of subcontracts are awarded to Section 3 businesses. An important distinction to remember is that Section 3 is race and gender neutral. Unlike other HUD funding, a woman or minority-owned business receives no preferential treatment. Instead, it is based on income level and location. The proposed rule. Many of you are aware that HUD has been working on a new rule for Section 3, which will expand the universe of who is eligible to be both a Section 3 resident and business. I am happy to announce that HUD is in the final stages of reviewing the rule, and we expect it to be finalized shortly. Key changes to the new rule. Under the proposed rule, a Section 3 resident means any worker who fits one of the following categories. The worker lives in a qualified census tract. The worker's income is below the income limit established by HUD, or the worker is employed by a Section 3 business concern. The key change to redefining Section 3 businesses. The proposed rule also changes the definition of a Section 3 business concern by focusing on how many hours employees work rather than the number of employees. Rather than limiting businesses to low and very low income residents of the metropolitan statistical area where Section 3 funds are spent, it emphasizes all low or very low income persons, including those living in public housing or Section 8. Additionally, a Section 3 business concern isn't negatively affected by a prior arrest or conviction of either owners or employees. We'll talk more about labor hours in a moment. So changing the metrics and thresholds. Next, please notice the change in thresholds. The proposed rule adds that the $200,000 threshold does not apply when financial assistance is from the Office of Lead Hazard Control and Healthy Homes. And secondly, it removes the $100,000 threshold for contractors and subcontractors. All funding for lead abatement triggers the Section 3 obligation. The new rule proposes the tracking and reporting of labor hours instead of new hires. The proposed focus on labor hours would measure total actual employment and the proportion of the total employment performed by low and very low income workers. In addition, the proposed focus on labor hours emphasizes continued employment. Labor hours means the number of paid hours worked by persons on a Section 3 project or employed with funds that include public housing financial assistance. HUD would define a targeted Section 3 worker differently for public housing financial assistance and Section 3 projects. The current resident of public housing or Section 8 only applies to reporting Section 3 for public housing financial assistance. A new hire would be defined as a full or part-time employee for permanent, temporary, or seasonal employment opportunities that was not on the payroll of the recipient or of a recipient's contractor or subcontractor receiving public housing financial assistance at the beginning of the award. The term also includes a new hire that was hired by a contractor or subcontractor on a per-project basis as a result of receiving public housing financial assistance. This brings us to the Section 3 tools. Section 3 offers two main tools to help entities receiving HUD financial assistance meet the Section 3 provision to the greatest extent feasible. The Opportunity Portal helps match residents to jobs and training opportunities, and Section 3 businesses to contracting opportunities. We can't emphasize enough the importance of this tool towards making opportunities accessible to Section 3 residents and businesses. Users may search jobs, contracts, and businesses not shown by keyword or location, including city, state, county, or metropolitan statistical area. A sign-in is not required to search. The business registry provides an opportunity for grantees to locate firms that have self-certified they meet one of the definitions of a Section 3 business. We'll go through the steps of using the Opportunity Portal next. As a resident, to search for jobs and training opportunities, you would select the search feature without signing in. Using the drop-down icon for job search options, residents would have the ability to expand this section and identify the opportunities they are interested in. The job search options provide a breakdown between full and part-time positions, also allowing residents to select from a contract, internship, seasonal, temporary, or permanent position. For Section 3 business concerns, the ability to search without signing in focuses on identifying opportunities to bid for work funded through Section 3 covered programs. Using the drop-down icon for contract search options, businesses have the ability to expand this section and identify specific types of contracts. The contract search option provides a breakdown of contract types consisting of sealed bids, unit price, cost plus, firm fixed price, time and materials, and other contracts. Simply put, the Opportunity Portal allows a Section 3 business to post a job and hire a Section 3 resident. Additionally, you, as a grantee, have the ability to post a contract and hire a Section 3 business. For Section 3 recipients and employers, the portal provides the ability to post job and training opportunities, as well as post contracts and search for job candidates. However, a login is required. Excuse me. Login.gov is a shared service from the General Services Administration, or GSA, allowing users to create one login to simply and securely log in to federal websites. Creating a login does not screen users for Section 3 resident eligibility. Anyone may create a login. The login is required both for residents to post their resume and for grantees and businesses to post job and training positions, contracts, and search for applicant resumes. After selecting sign-in from the Opportunity Portal, businesses have the ability to create an account. By selecting My Opportunities from the top, grantees and businesses are provided with the ability to post both job and contract opportunities. The two options of job and contract opportunities have similar screens and allow businesses to enter the detailed information regarding the position or contract. Those screens then post the position or contract to the Opportunity Portal. Specifically, this is where we're asking you, the grantees and recipients of HUD funding, to post job and contract opportunities. Likewise, we encourage contractors to post their job opportunities to the Opportunity Portal as well. For residents to post their resume, they must also create an account at login.gov. Residents would select the option to post their resume. Next, residents will be provided with the opportunity to build their resume in the system, which will then be shareable on the Opportunity Portal. In summary, the Opportunity Portal provides residents the ability to post their resume and skill sets, providing businesses the option to search for Section 3 residents to hire. Additionally, businesses can post jobs, training, or contracting opportunities and use the portal to search for job candidates. This ability to match residents with businesses promotes self-sufficiency and strengthens local economies. Now to the Section 3 Business Registry. The Section 3 Business Registry provides an avenue to search for firms that self-certify they have met the definition of a Section 3 business. The business registry should be used by public housing authorities, state, county, and local government agencies, property owners, developers, contractors, and Section 3 residents in order to search for Section 3 businesses that may have newly funded HUD-funded jobs as a result of recently awarded HUD-funded contracts. There are currently over 5,000 businesses listed across 49 states in the business registry. While HUD maintains the database, it hasn't verified the information submitted by businesses and does not endorse the services they provide. We recommend doing your due diligence to ensure that any business you use from the site is in fact a Section 3 business. Using the link from the prior slide, you can access the business registry. For businesses using the site, they need to check if they are in fact considered a Section 3 business. The businesses can select the icon at the top reading, "Am I a Section 3 business?" It will then be walked through the options in which they can answer the questions about ownership, staff, and subcontractors, and the system will identify if it meets the requirements to be considered a Section 3 business. Once it has confirmed it is a Section 3 business, it will need to register. Selecting Register a Business from the top row, the business will be brought to a screen to enter its applicable information. From the registration screen, hovering over the I icon provides more information about what is being asked. Upon completion, the business is registered in the system. Finally, the business registry provides a search feature. Selecting the search icon, you're provided with a plethora of search features, including business capabilities and other criteria for hiring. It is important to note that the general public can report a firm they believe has misrepresented itself by emailing sec3biz@hud.gov. That is SEC3BIZ@HUD.gov. Upon using the search criteria, you're provided a list of applicable businesses, such as this example you see here. As demonstrated, the business registry can be a tool to help your agency meet the Section 3 provision to the greatest extent possible. Now that we have discussed how to use both the business registry and the opportunity portal, I'm going to turn it over to Desta to discuss how entities receiving certain HUD financial assistance can report their efforts of Section 3 using the SPEARS system. Desta, are you ready?
I'm ready. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be talking about the Section 3 SPEARS report. Next page. SPEARS stand for Section 3 Program Enforcement and Registry System. This was started back in 2015. We're currently on version 5.7. We have almost 4,300 grantees successfully registered and submitted over 53,000 reports. We've done some major enhancement to the application. We do a lot of reporting. We can send you guys notices when reports are due. And then also when you come in to submit your reports are aggregated by your program area and then your fiscal cycle. And once you submitted the report, you can print out the report and send it to government offices, maybe for HUD staff or something, somebody else. But it has a lot of functionality, and we directly interface with the LOCKS system. Next, please. For SPEARS, it's served via WAS, and that is our HUD secured portal. And if you want to do business with HUD, that is the first thing we have to do. So you have to register via our WAS system. Again, the data directly comes from LOCKS, and then we'll go on the next slides. That's how we get the data. And then SPEARS is accessed through the web. All you need is a website. And we also have a dedicated website where you can find a lot of resources, quick guides and FAQs. And then if you can go to the next page, please. I know. So WAS is, again, we have over 25 applications served on our secured portal. And this is where our trusted business partners will come and do business with HUD. If you want to do business, you have to have a WAS ID. I would imagine most of you already have other system that you access, maybe PIC, HEMS, some other system. So as long as you have an ID, all we have to do is just grant you a role so you can submit the Section 3 report. We have two types of users, just a regular user and a coordinator. Coordinator just means you have more rights. And then you can assign role, and you can grant access to somebody who has a user, just a regular user access. And then as a coordinator, you can submit for more than one tax ID number. Next, please. So basically, it's served again on the, you just need any browser. As long as you have a browser, you can access the system. And once you log in, you want to pick the Section 3 Performance Evaluation and Registry System, which is SPEARS, and that will bring you to the landing page for a SPEARS reporting system. Next. All right, and then these are some of the functionality that you can do once you log in into a SPEARS system. We have two types of reports, which I'll go in detail on the next slides. We have expected report, that just means reports that are due. And the notices have the email and the link that will take you directly to the WAS, and then also that tells you which reports that are due. Unreported disbursement, again, we'll go in detail in the next slides. It means grants, that you received, but you have not yet submitted report. And then once you have submitted, they will fall under submitted reports. And those are some of the functionality you can do once the reports are submitted. Next, please. So this is a landing page. Once you log in into WAS and click the SPEARS link, this will bring you, will say welcome, your first name and last name. And then depending on the, whether you are a coordinator or a regular user, you can make your selection from the agency dropdown. And at that point, once you click continue, the application will go into the lapse disbursement data and just populate all the funds that you received. Right now, currently we're doing FY16 and above. So anything under different program area that you received will be populated and will be listed on the next page, please. So this is just, we try to populate pretty much all the functionality that's available in SPEARS. As you can see on the top left, that is the notice. And right below it, it says expected reports. And if you have anything in progress, if you started something and then you have not yet submitted, it will be listed under in progress report. And the main thing you should probably focus on is unreported disbursement. So unreported disbursement means, like I said earlier, you received grant, but we have not heard how you performed on those grants. And then the bottom piece is the submitted reports. This is just trying to show you all the functionalities that's available once you log in into your SPEARS profile. Next, please. So this is the notice that we send out. This is a great addition to our system, because when you, SPEARS is the only thing that you do. Section 3 reporting, it's an annual report. Your fiscal cycle maybe, ends in July or, June. And then, that's probably the only time you come and submit the report. So it's hard to remember. So this is just added functionality for our grantees. It has a date, the notice, and then you can if you click the read notice, it will expand and it will tell you for what period it is, for what program area, and the dollar amount. And then on the bottom right-hand side also has a link to our secure system, which is WAS, and you can click it and it will take you straight to the login page for a WAS system. Next, please. Once you log in, if you have outstanding reports that are due, they will be listed under expected reports. They're pretty straightforward. Again, unless you are empty, your agencies identified as moved to work. Those are high performers, and they can combine their funds, and they only have to submit one report. But if you're not one of the MTWs, then you will be, as you can see on the top, you will have your fiscal cycle, and any program areas or any grant that you received will be listed. And then it also show you the dollar amount that was dispersed during those time frames. If you have any question, you can click that dollar amount, and then it will open up an Excel spreadsheet. And then that will have all the money that was dispersed by your project, by the dates, and then also the dollar amount that was dispersed at that time. So if you have any questions, since you have your LUX, funds that you received, you can verify it. But we had very few issues. I would say it's about 99.9% accurate. So to start it, basically all you have to do is just click the icon on the left, and then that will bring you straight to the reporting. Next, please. All right. So if you have, again, the way the notices work is we look any unreported disbursement. So if you have anything outstanding unreported disbursement, that's when you get the notice. So we look at your fiscal cycle, and we run that against any this unreported disbursement. So if you have anything outstanding for any particular year in FY16 and above, until you submit those reports, then those notices will go to folks who have submitted the report in the past. The CFO or whoever is identified when they register their tax ID number with multifamily system, that person will get it. And also someone in the region from the HUD staff, they will be notified. So please, if you have anything outstanding, go ahead and submit the report. And then if you have any question, please let us know, and we'll be more than glad to assist you with any question. Next. So this is the agency submitted report. As you can see, every report will have a report ID, and it will have the time period, and then what program area it is, what it covers, the dollar amount, when it was submitted, and then also under the column which says goals, that tells you whether you have met those three thresholds for employment, contract, and non-construction. So if you get a check mark, at least you have met the lowest threshold. That's what it's showing you. And then if you see this dash sign, it means this particular agency, they just submitted a short report, which I'll explain on the next slide. It means they don't have any Section 3 activities. That's why it just shows a dash. And then at the last column is for whatever reason. Let's say if you made a mistake, or you have a new data, you would like to make some change. Since this is a report that you certify, we cannot make edit for you. You have up to 72 hours if you want to make an edit, but if it's past 72 hours, then we have to delete the report and you have to resubmit that report. So what I suggest in that case is just, since it's a PDF file, and just click the report ID icon. It's a link that will, it's a PDF file. Just save that PDF file on your desktop or somewhere, so you don't have to re-enter the entire data. Next, please. So this particular report shows you the short report. What we call it short report is, yes, you have received grants, but as the result of those grants, there were no Section 3 activities. So I'm not going to waste your time. I will explain the same thing on the next slide when we do the regular report. But on this particular report, if you look on the top right-hand corner where it says preliminary questions, there are two questions that are being asked. The first one is, did the expenditure of this fund result in new hires? If you say no, and then the next question is, did the expenditure of this fund result in any covered contract? So if you say both no, if you answer no to both questions, there was no Section 3 activity. So this will take you to the end, and you go ahead and submit the report. And that's why you saw earlier slides, those dashes. It means there was no activity. So that's what the short report means. Currently, if we have, let's say, CPDs, whose threshold is it has over $200,000, which is very rare. They can use this functionality. We don't have now to identify a functionality to see, okay, this particular year, this particular CPD grantee only received $200,000, so they should not show up on the report. We're working on that, But right now, if you are one of those grantees, you just do this short report and then you will drop off from the unreported disbursement. And then you come to this next page and just certify and submit the report. Thank you. Next, please. Okay, so this is a standard, we call it just a regular report. On the top left, where it says disbursement details, this is where you have, this is the data that we pull out from locks. It will have your agency information, what type of grant it is, the time range, your reporting period, this means the beginning of fiscal cycle and ending, and the dollar amount that was dispersed during that time. And reporting entity, sometimes, the state might get it and then the city might be submitting the report. So the reporting entity piece, by default, we populated whatever the disbursement detail is. But if you need to change it, you have that option. You can put a different reporting entity. On the top right, again, this is the same question. Did the expenditure result any hires? If you say answer to yes to one of those two questions, then you have to submit just the regular report. And then the contact person is important because we use this data to send out the notices the next time around when the reports are due. Again, it keeps a history of the people who have submitted in the past. You can pick your name from the drop-down if you have submitted the report in the past, but if not, you can go ahead and enter your information. But this, you have to, every field is mandatory. Next, please. Okay, so we have three sections once you log in to submit the report. We have the employment section, the contracting, and then construction. For the employment section, all we're asking is, yes, you did say you've hired, there were some new hires. So just tell us what was the job categories. We have about 13 different job categories listed. And then if none of them match the type of job categories, you can insert a new type of job categories. And then we're just asking a simple question: how many folks were hired as a result of this new job? And that will be a number of new hires. And then out of the total new hires, how many were Section 3 residents? In this case, it was 10. And then the aggregate number of staff hours worked. This is currently optional. So if you want to reveal that information, you can go ahead and insert that data. And then out of those 38,500, how much was for Section 3? Again, this option is optional. And then at the end is number of Section 3 trainees. So that one it's important. Maybe you may not have hired somebody, but at least you've given training. So when I usually send out report to management. And then even if the number of new hires for Section 3 residents are low, if I see, I will make sure I attach that number. Yes, this is how many they did for Section 3 residents, but as a result of this grant, they have trained X number of Section 3 residents. So it's important. So if you have any training, make sure you insert it. And then by default, I think it has 6 rows. And then if you have more than 6 rows, again, the system allow you to add more rows. And then we calculate, as you enter the data, we keep the total for each category, and that's the information that we use to show you whether we have met those Section 3 threshold. Next, please. This is the contracting and then construction section. For construction, we know how much money was awarded for that particular type of fund, but we would not know how much money you set aside or you gave out in construction. So that's something that you have to provide. We ask the total dollar amount construction awarded. And the next line is for the dollar amount of construction contracts awarded to Section 3 businesses. And then the percentage, again, you don't have to enter that. We will compute that based on the top 2 rows. And then on the last one is we ask for the number of Section 3 businesses that received this construction contract. That is a mandatory, and this was something that we were asked by IG. How do you verify the information that was submitted is accurate? So, for instance, if this particular agency is audited, then we probably need to know. Let's say if I say two Section 3s received this contract, then we have to contact them and then make sure verify this is accurate. So that information is a mandatory. So the next side is the non-construction contracting. Again, the same thing. What did you use as far as non-construction? How much money did you award? And then you let us know out of those contract awarded, how much was awarded to Section 3. Again, the percentage is something that we calculate. And then let us know how many businesses benefited as a result of this non-construction contract. Next, please. Okay, so this particular agency, as you can see, they met the new hires, the employment threshold, which is currently it's 30% and above. And then the construction contract is 10% or above, and then non-construction 3%. They met all the threshold. If for whatever reason, if you checked one of those two preliminary questions, and you have not met the goal, then you have to let us know what best efforts you did to comply. And some of the options that the most common ones are listed under the best effort. And then if you have done, and then you have to fill out that section, the empty section that's for you to provide narrative as far as what you have done. And then you click continue. And this is just right before you submit the report. We give you a report summary, and you just make sure the information that you have provided is accurate. And then if you need to go back, you can go back and make any edits or change. Once the information is accurate and it's good to go, you click continue to compliance. Next. And then you click continue. Next, please. All right, so this is at the last page. Right, this is your certification to make sure for this particular year, for this program area, this is how you have performed. And you go ahead and click submit the form. Next. And then once you submit the form, the report will be available via PDF. This is the report, if somebody's asking you how you have done, or, if you're being audited, if you want to send it, but it's available for you at any time. All you have to do is just log into WAS, go to your Spears system, and that information will be available. Next, please. Now, as you can see, this is just to show you there were a couple report when we started on the top under expected report. Since you have submitted that report, now it just dropped. It will only show you one report. Okay, next. All right, so before I just wrap it up, just want to make sure I mention, because Spears is served through our WAS system. Again, WAS has a lot of application. It's over 25 applications. So if you're calling and you're having issue with password reset, and then currently the system automatically they lock you out. They said it terminated, but it's just basically you get locked out after 90 days inactivity. And as I mentioned, Spears is an annual report. So a lot of folks, they probably, unless they're really good in keeping their password, they might forget it. So keep in mind when you call to get your password reset or account unlocked, don't mention anything about Spears. If you say Spears, they, instead of them assisting you with your password reset, they will send you guys to us, and then we can't really reset your password, or we can't unlock your account. So if you need to change your name, address, if you have if you can't log in, if you have login problem, if you can't get to WAS, then that will be what we call it React Technical Center question. So make sure you call them. Just don't mention anything about Spears. This is just from experience. A lot of time they have them run back and forth, and it's really frustrating. So if you have that issue, just call the React help desk. And then if you, for whatever reason, you want to change your name, there was some mistake on your agency name, we don't make any change. We literally just go into lock system and just pull up the data based on the tax ID number. So whatever information is stored, we're just reading that data. So if you need to change again, you call the 800-767-7588, and they will assist you. So just keep in mind that. And then once you log into a system, your password is good, you're not locked in. You come into a system, then the agency or agency is not showing up in that drop down. Nothing shows up. If you want to make edits to the report, if the figures that is what you're showing in logs and ours doesn't match, then that is something that we can assist you. So you can call the 202 number, or you can send the email to the 60,002 question, and then we gladly assist you. And then the bottom again, that link is the Section 3 dedicated website. It has information about the opportunity portal, business registry, and then also actually how you can submit the report. And then if you have a new person coming into your agency, you can just send them to that link, and it has step-by-step what it will walk them how to log in, how to get an WAS ID, and then log in into Spears and submit the report. Thank you so much. I'm done. You can have it, Brandon.
For reviewing the SPEAR system, which is critical in documenting your compliance with the Section 3 provision. As we move on to the question and answer portion of the presentation, I'd like to discuss COVID-19 and how it affects Section 3. It is important to note that due to the virus, the reporting deadlines were extended through July 31st, 2020. Additionally, while we do not anticipate Section 3 to conflict with any emergency orders by state or local governments, please feel free to reach out to us at section3@hud.gov if you have any questions. Now, I'd like to open it up for any questions. And we did receive some in the chat already, so if you bear with me, we're going to pull those up. And Desta, if you can hang on to answer a couple of these questions, if they pertain to Spears, that would be really appreciated.
Sure.
Kathy Colby asked, what is the ETA for the proposed rule? Honestly, we can't say anything at this time regarding the rollout of the proposed rule until it is published in the Federal Register, which we hope to happen within the next couple weeks. Once it is published, it'll be open for a 60-day review and comment period. It would be approximately 1 year from that period until the rule is implemented and compliance period begins on the new rule. Now, I will say that HUD is going to be providing a great amount of technical assistance. We will be holding additional webinars over the implementation period year, and your portfolio managers, etc., that you already work with at HUD will be able to assist you through the process. I hope that answers your question to the best that we can do at this time. Anna Rexrod asked, Virginia has no Section 3 businesses listed except for one area near Virginia Beach. What does this mean for HUD grantees in other areas? This is a great question. This means there is an opportunity for HUD FPM, that's our staff, you and other grantees to collaborate on reaching out to Section 3 business concerns, inviting them to register on the Section 3 business registry. Another question, is $200,000 for the project or what is received from HUD for the year?
It's what's received for the year.
Thank you. And I have a couple other ones for you, Desta. How does reporting work for state CDBG programs who are reporting on many grants?
So we work closely with the program office, and they tell us what type of, let's say, CDBG grant, what qualifies as CDBG. So we get a program code, and that's something that we annually, every quarter, we get a data update. And all we're doing is, we look for tax ID for a program area. If they qualify for Section 3, we populate it. So that's how it works.
So the follow-up to that is, they would need to track items by awards and locks versus program years in IDIS?
So I'm not familiar with IDIS, but what you need to do is, for the grant that are identified as Section 3, you just let us know, if you hired. It tells you, we tracks it by a project code. So each money that was dispersed has a project code. So I would imagine, and those projects is what, if you hired, gave a contract, that's how it's tracked.
Thank you, Desta.
You're welcome.
We're going to give it another moment to see if there's any other questions that come in through the chat. When I read up on Section 3, it said the due date was January 15th. The due date for reporting depends on the type of HUD assistance. Desta, would you like to care to share more about that?
Correct. So depending on the type of grant you have, as usually for lead, it's an annual report. Other reports usually, submitted by your program area. Your fiscal cycle, and usually it's about 60 days. So it depends. It depends on what kind of grant you received. I know lead is a calendar year, but it's not just So January 15 might be talking about for lead.
Thank you, Desta.
You're welcome.
One more question. Most contractors in our area already have their staff in place. What does this mean for Section 3 compliance? Well, Section 3 only pertains to new hires generated by assistance. So if a new award comes out and they have to have new hires to complete their work, then Section 3 would apply at that point. So, and you'll see on the screen, we have provided a list of resources to help expand upon the information provided today. Within those resources is a new Section 3 training curriculum, which provides 8 modules that walk you through what we have discussed today in greater detail. And if you have any questions or need any additional information, please feel free to reach out to our HUD Mid-Atlantic team. We are more than happy to help. My email address is on the screen, as well as my colleagues, John McLaughlin. Please reach out to us and we will respond to all of your questions. And I want to thank you for your participation. This concludes today's presentation on Section 3. Now I'd like to turn it over to Regional Administrator Joe DeFelice for closing remarks.
Hi, thank you, Brandon. Thank you, everybody else, for joining us today. Section 3 is obviously extremely important. It's been on the book since 1968. I'm happy that we're finally really trying to get into the meat of it here. One of the main issues, I think, around Section 3 is, one thing I talk about pretty regularly is we can build housing all we want. And 40 years from now, we'll tear down that housing and build new housing. But we need to start investing in our residents, not only into their skill set, and not just jobs, not just dustpan and brush jobs, which is, I really like the difference of how we're going with work hours as opposed to hires, because we've seen in the past that people would hire someone for a day, maybe let them go, hire somebody else after a week. They have 5 new hires, but that doesn't really make it seem like they're really getting any appreciable skills out of it. And also the sweat equity going into the projects in the community. There'll be a buy-in in that community as well, if people are able to buy in and the like. So, we're going to be there. And to your questions, I was listening very closely, specifically the idea about Section 3 businesses. That is something that we on the FPM side here at HUD are going to be on the front lines pushing out to register those new businesses, identify those businesses, help educate the population of what a Section 3 business is. And it took us a little bit, but I'm happy we're ready to finally launch it. So Brandon and the team, again, thank you for all that you're doing, and look forward to seeing all you in the future.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you to everyone for participating today. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to the contact information you received in the presentation. Thank you. This concludes our presentation.